sisters for life. Mentality is what keeps us together.
Hey, it's Saya.
It's Tiffany.
It's Nicole.
I'm Carol.
And this is what keeps us together.
Basically the group chat in your head.
Living rent free.
Boom, 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 boom. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
That's right. That's right. We're back in the building, y'all.
We are.
Been a little minute. Missed y'all.
Yeah, we missed you guys.
I miss
And
y'all.
each other. And yeah, not in each other. Kind of
Yikes.
But y'all too.
And this week's episode is sponsored by Regalia Swim.
Come on here, swim.
Yes, they have a beautiful swimsuit line. Is there new print dropping, new design? Okay, so you just go on the website and just grab, whatever's available. Thank
You love it. Go ahead and get some.
We do.
It's bathing suit season, y'all.
It is.
It's hot outside.
Whether you
We
ready or
finna be
not.
outside.
Whether you unbigged your back or not.
Look
I'm
here.
doing the best with what I got.
Look here. I've been
You
bathing
get
suit
what
ready
I'm
all
giving.
year long. This is 365 right here. Okay.
Hey,
That's right.
That's right.
I love that for you. I'm not. It's a moo
I love
season
that.
for me.
For you, specifically. Hate it here.
Ooh, we're going to get all these love handles. All right, so song of the week. This week, our topic is talking about money. So I decided that our theme for the song of the week should be rich girl, rich guy type money. What songs make you feel rich or make you think about getting money? What songs have you in that vibe?
I'll go first because mine's easy. The first song that came to mind was Cardi B's Money.
Yeah.
Straightforward, straight.
Yeah.
Right.
Keep it a buck.
Right. Mine was My Type by Saweetie. Six-figure nigga. That's my type. But
Gang.
but I am the six-figure nigga, so
I know
I
that's
guess I
right.
am my type. So.
Hey, there it is. You better
Okay.
speak it.
I'm a little embarrassed by mine, but mine is The Way We Ball by Little Flip. This is the way we ball. And we like the balls.
No, that's good.
Okay, I really
I
like that.
love that.
Mine was hard, but I think I want to do Throw Some D's on It by, what is it, Rich Boy?
It's like
Good
a
one.
strip club song.
It may be, but also I want to put some D's on that Cadillac, okay?
Science
When I
said
get my
that's
money.
neither here nor there.
Right. Understand, money is being got, rims are being put on the caddy. Let's just keep it moving.
Lord.
Not rims on the caddy.
Slight tangent. When I was in high school, that song was out, and we tried to put it on our basketball warm up song playlist. And my coach has to approve all the songs that put on there. And she was like, "And what are D's? What is throwing some D's on that?" We're like,
Never mind. It's not. We're taking it
not
out.
anything salacious, actually. Okay, so for today's topic, we're talking about money in the household and, the gender roles that come around that. So I have a little meme to start us off. It says, there is an entire generation of women who are drowning because they were raised with traditional gender roles while being empowered to be independent. These women are still taking on the majority of household duties while simultaneously killing it in the workplace. They're tired.
I felt that.
Ooh, child. All right.
That's tired.
What really started this whole conversation, though, was a recent interview that Gabriel Union did. And she was very open about her relationship with her current husband with regards to money and the way in which they share it amongst their household. So I'm going to play a clip from, this is the Shade Room.
I struggle with that still, just because I think I just have more responsibilities, for my money. So I get nervous, like, oh God, that movie didn't open, well, what does that mean? Am I going to have enough to hold everybody up? And everyone's like, it's coming, like, calm down. And I'm trying to find peace in the journey, not using my anxiety and scarcity mindset to be my engine, which is hard. It's weird to say I'm head of household because in this household, we split everything 50-50. But in the other households that each of us have to support, it puts there's always this gorilla on your back that is like, you better work, you better work. You gonna sleep in? somebody might not eat.
All right.
Wow. It's kind of wild thinking about like where they are in the tax bracket I perceive them to be in, and knowing that that is her mindset around money.
That it's still there, right?
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. She did an interview right when Dwayne Wade retired from basketball. And she was like, well, you're going to be home every day. So what are you going to do? What job are you going to do? What you going to do after you retire?
Walmart greeter.
It's also funny that head of household, I guess we're using it in the literal sense that we go by taxes, maybe. It's just that they only equate that to whoever's making the most money. Like we're assuming that the person that makes the most money is the head of household.
Yeah.
But she says household that she supports, that I'm assuming doesn't live in. So you the head of household for the house. No, the house that you're supporting that you don't even stay in.
Right.
But I'm also assuming that because she is divorced, that she's probably paying alimony if she was head of household for her previous marriage.
Oh, I assume she was paying like her mama's bills
That's
or
what I thought.
for her grandma's house or
Okay.
something like that. That's what I was
makes
assuming.
more sense.
It actually does. Okay.
Is she still head of household for her ex-husband?
It doesn't matter because once the alimony is like set, like
That's true.
I guess I'm just saying it's just very interesting to think that I'm the head of household in a house that I don't live in,
Right.
but because I'm paying those bills.
yeah,
I mean, it's very possible.
yeah, and he's got a
Sometimes
whole
it
bunch of
happens.
kids from other. So he's paying alimony and child support for 3 kids?
Who, Dwayne or her ex?
Dwayne.
Doing
Oh.
2? Because I think the
No,
other
because
2 are.
he lived. All the one lived with him. Them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I hope he's not
Well,
paying
not
child
all of them.
support. Just the one.
Not that side baby.
That's what
Oh,
I'm saying.
okay,
But all
okay,
the other
okay.
kids he has sole custody of.
Decide, baby.
Right.
Or
That's true.
primary custody or whatever you want to call
That
it.
break, baby.
That's a whole nother. Ooh, child. Okay. Well, actually, to be on that note, it makes me also wonder if that is part of the reason as to why she has chosen to do things 50-50, if whether or not that was always their arrangement prior to their break, right? Like, was this something that she maybe deemed very important for her because during the break, so many things she didn't have control over took place, and she had to really, really look at what she was doing and say, am I going to invest, myself halfway into this relationship again, or am I gonna, fully put myself in and provide as much as I can, and hopefully, because I don't know what their relationship was like before, because it could very well be that their breakup may have been some sense of him and her not feeling like they had full investment from both parties, and now putting in 50% for her and for him makes them feel more maybe secure in the relationship. Could very well be. I don't know. That's
Maybe. There's also the aspect of like, you can't kick me out of something I'm paying half for.
True.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like,
Preach. It's
yeah,
like
if
ownership.
maybe, she wanted to have a little bit more control, possibly.
Yeah.
I
Ooh, does money always have to mean that? Because that's an interesting.
mean, but that's the crux I got from this conversation. It feels like if I'm making the most money, I control what's happening.
But it also doesn't sound like she like loves to be in this position. It sounds stressful. It sounds like she feels like now, like every decision I make is like everyone either eats or doesn't eat off of that.
Yeah, but also let me back up. I also understand that this haul started because D Wade is allegedly worth more, significantly more than she is. So let me just backpedal that last comment I made. But yeah, I don't know. But I get if you grew up really having to not penny pinch, but like really have to watch every money, all the money that comes into your house, and really have to think about your income and your expenses and what that looks like, and making sure you have enough to cover everything, but also do a little bit extra. I get like making sure I don't ever want to be in a position where I have to, or I don't have enough. And so no matter how much money I make, is it ever going to be enough to really cover, especially if if I'm not just paying my bills, I'm paying other people's bills too. Like is there ever going to be enough
I mean,
to do all of it?
I think also it's important, like the scarcity mindset is also a trauma response. So like if you've experienced something in your past, or if something hasn't felt stable to you, whether it be your household, when it comes to bills or just like mortgage or anything like that, if you came home not knowing if your lights are going to be on, then immediately you take that with you and you grow up to be like, okay, at bare minimum, like I need to make sure all of this is handled. And if it's not, then I don't know what to do with myself.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think it can also stem from like not having consistent paychecks. So you go from marrying someone who's in the NBA, they're retired, and now you're getting paychecks from like movies and things that are kind of sporadic.
But I guess it's for both. Well, for her, it's always been that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But like now you being the head of household in a household that is not getting the other consistent paycheck. Like I don't know how it works retirement with the NBA. Like I don't know what that looks like. I know that I'm sure he's still getting like royalties, and I'm sure he didn't like just like leave himself with $0 for retirement. So like, but it's different from getting money than like tapping into things that you may have set aside.
Right. And there's no guarantee depending on how he is investing it. Like all of investments don't guarantee that you're going to get the same thing back. Whereas when you're working, for sure, as long as you perform, you're going to get X amount of dollars start of the season, where that's not the same. It's a different way of managing money and looking at money. So for sure, she probably is.
He has a lot of side businesses too, though.
Right. But again, those are.
So does she.
Right. There's no guarantee with any of them past if you work a 9-to-5 job. Right? Like a 9-to-5 job, you have gone to contract with somebody to say they're going to pay you this amount every year. That is not the same when you work in the industries that they are now working in. He was before when he was playing basketball, but no, it's not the same. So yeah, for sure, I think that they're competing with that all of the time. But does that mean that has to look like? Does that mean that you have to constantly look at it as if there's never enough? I think that added responsibilities also make it feel like it's not enough. Like, I think if it was just her and maybe one child, she probably may not feel the need for it to be scarcity. But when you are making a lot of money, a lot of people are looking at you to be a supporter, whether or not you want to be or not. And so that maybe it's definitely, I think it's probably adding more so. Because I think if she was working by herself, she probably wouldn't feel like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like knowing
She's responsible for multiple
knowing you're making the most, and then people look at you for some type of financial support, be it head of household as she is, or just even a little bit, that does add an extra burden that people without money don't realize until.
What's the like dollar amount that people now expect me to pay their bills? Like, how much?
I don't think there is one. As long as they think that you make more.
Matter of fact, just put it all in your name. It doesn't even matter.
I want to
That's
know
it.
at what point are people like, you know what? You got enough to pay your bills and a little something. So I seen you on that Wade World Tour. You can pay my mortgage. I just want to know like what.
I don't think that there is a dollar amount. I think it's just a perception.
Yeah, it's
for
that.
sure.
There's a perception.
But I also wonder like how those conversations start.
That's what I'm saying. Like, at what point are you like, you know what? I need you to pay my mortgage.
This is how I'm gonna tell you how it goes. Okay, it goes like this. You think somebody got some money? You go, hey, can I borrow XYZ dollars? And I don't know. My grandfather always raised us, don't ever loan what you can't afford to
Not get
lose,
back.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's now great. It's great if you give it back. That's the ideal situation. But in a lot of situations, the person goes, hey, can I borrow XYZ? You give them XYZ and then they don't pay it back. And either you mention it or you don't mention it. And if you don't, then they're like, oh, well, they got it. But maybe you don't. But maybe it's because you there's a variety of reasons. Maybe you don't feel like you should have to remind somebody to pay you back. Or maybe,
It's just awkward and you don't want to have that conversation.
Correct.
Or I'm just not assuming that if, I don't know. I guess to me, I'm always like, if you needed it then, can I really expect to ask it from you now?
Right. I mean, but that's how it starts. And then a cycle starts, especially depending on that person's relationship with whoever is asking.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's one thing if you're like a dream of mine is to like pay off all of my parents. Like, I don't even know if they have debt, to be honest.
They probably don't know.
But just,
Probably do not.
But like just to pay off like the house or whatever, just make sure that whatever money they have coming in could just be like, they can just do whatever they want. So I get like that mindset of like wanting to take care. Your parents have taken care of you. If they have, I don't know everyone's story, but if your parents taking care of you your entire life, you want to then pay it forward to take care of them as they get older, and finances might be different than you growing up. So I get that. But like they said households. plural.
Right.
So there are more than one house that they are supporting outside of
Both
the
their
home that they
parents,
reside in.
Their ex-spouses.
That's just, I don't know.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's
compound. I can't even speak. Compounding
Yes.
is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
I mean, when you say you go into a relationship, you have baggage. That's probably the baggage they came in with. Like,
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade's mama is really close to him, and I'm sure he probably does a lot to make sure she is well taken care of, which I imagine so.
Yeah,
to
that's
your
what I'm
point,
saying. Like, your parents, it's one thing, but I'm
Right.
just like, are you paying like Pookie's bills or like, you know?
I hope not. I hope they're removed
they probably
from
done
that.
bought the
but-
block and
Street.
put everybody in the house.
No.
They probably haven't.
So how do y'all feel about the 50-50 comment?
I just think I mean, to me, it makes more sense to do it based on a percentage of the income
Yeah,
That's
rather
a lot
than
of math.
straight up. It's not.
it's not
It's
math.
It is,
If
so
you-
you're asking, okay, so you make, so you're going to pay 60 and I'm going to pay 40 and now you're doing that with every single bill?
Well,
No,
not
not necessarily
necessarily
with every single bill, but like the mortgage, probably. And then from there, you'll do whatever to make it like even out.
Right.
Like I'll take these bills. They usually sum up to this, and I'll take these bills and sum up to
For me,
this.
we're married. Like, I'm just going to put all the money goes into a pot and we're just going to pay the bills from this pot. That's how I feel. Personally, that's what works for me. I understand. But again, I've never made as much money. They probably made more money last month than I've seen in my 36 years of living. So they are just in a different tax
That
bracket
is not even true,
than I'm
girl.
a part
Be
of.
quiet.
But you said money in a pot. Is that all of your money in a pot?
Yeah.
Okay.
All of it?
Because
You don't have nothing to the side.
I mean, I pull money out for me, but like my check, both checks go into one account.
Whew.
And then I pull out
That's how a lot of people. That's
play
like
money
50%.
and all that. We pull that comes out after. But bills and all that stuff gets formed. But I also understand I wasn't doing that until I got married. When I was single and living in sin, it was a completely different situation.
Not living in sin.
Yeah, like that's different. I do understand.
Well,
It's different in that phase.
I hate it
in my
here.
sinful situation,
Oh no.
just send me, Venmo me.
And that's
Or
what, but also at the
Would
same
it have you in
time.
accounts?
No.
Okay.
We tried that. No, I don't.
But
I
also,
don't want to.
and I also want to preface, you should do whatever works for your relationship.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, for sure.
whatever, like what works for me is not going to work for everybody else, and I respect whatever works for everybody. Like the splitting it down to the pennies from the 80, you make 80.5% more than I do, so I'm gonna pay the 20 or 19.5 to make sure. What I don't even know that it's too much for me. It is too much for me in my brain. So we just gonna put it all there, make sure all the bills are paid, and then we worry about everything else after that.
Yeah.
That's fair. We do the opposite where we send money to a joint account after we get paid, and most things are like in one bank. And so that way, because I felt weird doing the opposite, because I was like, I feel like I'm giving myself allowance even though I work, and I just didn't like that sensation. So for me, this is like what works for me, like my mental, like,
Yeah.
I get it.
you know,
Yeah.
like
That makes
need.
sense.
And I think that it's working for both of us.
I like it.
Yeah, I think it'll have to, like, if we have kids, it might incur like a different conversation, just because there's like those aspects of like so much that aren't bills that suddenly become
Right.
like things that you have to pay for.
Are you
Yeah,
considering him like the mortgage or how does,
yeah,
how does
exactly.
Trey
Yeah.
fit into this?
Especially things that are
The
not
doctor
like
bills, all that.
Well,
if
and
it's
then,
not
like-
daycare, if it's clothes, if it's just if it's like this birthday party or
Right.
you know,
Yeah, or
just-
like groceries, or I don't know. For me, like trying to figure out how to split everything is just that to me. That's too chaotic for me to try and like figure that out. So for me, it's easier just to put everything in one and then pulling out my personal money from there.
I
That's
don't-
so interesting.
What do you ever overspend?
Define overspend.
Like what you pull out for yourself? Do you find yourself having to like dip back? Or I don't know how you do it. Like I don't know if you try to pull out
No,
enough.
I
dollars
mean,
or how
I
you do
kind
a
of
month,
give.
or-
Well, like for me, I work better with like an allowance, quote
Okay.
unquote. So like there's like a certain amount of money that I pull out every month that's like my play money, and everything else stays in the other account.
Okay.
So for me, it helps me not go ham
To
because
budget.
because I mean, y'all know me. If I see it,
I'm all in
see
it.
it, I'm gonna get it.
I got it.
Like I'm not the person you should be around if you want to save your money. To be honest, if we at the mall and you was like, oh, I really want this, you should get it. You deserve it. You deserve all the things.
Maybe that's probably why I haven't transitioned, because I haven't gotten to the space yet where I'm dedicated enough for an allowance. Because I'm gonna buy it.
Okay,
Yeah.
here's what I do for myself, because I am I go through waves where I hit that. I have 2 checking accounts. So my check goes to my what I call my bills account, and then I send a certain amount, like I try to do it per week, to my checking account where it's just like my debit card that I swipe. And so like once it gets like below a certain point, I'll send myself more. And it's not like about me having an allowance. It's more about me being conscious of like
how much you're spending.
Frequently I'm spending. Like if I just send myself like $200 every so often, like how frequently I'm running through that. And that's when it tells me if I need to like calm down or if I'm doing okay or you know. What I mean?
Like you've already done it 3 times. Let's not like pull it out.
Man, it is Thursday.
I'm just thinking, pray for me. Pray for your friend because, my God, I'd be like, look.
Yeah, I mean, again, like you gotta
do what works for you.
Yeah, you gotta do what works for you. But also, like I started off like managing my own household. So like after I moved out of my parents and graduated from college, I was managing just me. So transitioning from managing me to managing with someone else it's hard to contend with, to trust that bills are going to get paid in a house that I already know that is mine. You know what I mean? Like I can pay all these bills. I can make sure it's taken care of, but I got to trust you now to do it too is a very hard, for me at least, to contend with, to let someone else be responsible. Now, don't get me wrong. I do want you to contribute. I just still have to trust that you are as financially responsible as I am, which is a hard thing to do.
You know what else really tripped me up getting married is that, you know how like you hear about like people like passing away like in a marriage or something happening to a spouse, and then people being like, oh, I didn't know like how to pay the mortgage or like it suddenly became very clear to me how that happens. I was always like very confused, like you don't know how to pay your mortgage. I was like, it's so easy to just like not know the password, or like you have the set of bills that you take care of and they have the set of bills that they always take care of, and you just like not know what's going on because they've always done it. And I was like, wow, like I'm like one step away from being like that wife I thought I hated, and I just started this game.
Yeah, I probably could figure out how to pay the gas, the water, and the all the like utilities, but I don't pay that bill. I mean, like I pay that bill, but I don't pay that bill. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was like kind of neurotic about it, so we ended up like making like a short list of all like the usernames and stuff, so that we could be and sending it to like a joint account so that we could just like see it if we were like curious or like wanted to be aware of stuff. Because I was just like really paranoid about something happening and suddenly me being like, I don't know how to pay anything.
What's the link?
Yeah.
Well, having like watched that happen where
Tell me the password.
No, wake up. Tell me the password.
Not that nigga did.
I hate you.
Having had really lived that situation. Because y'all know my family member or the extended family, that happened.
Yeah.
They were bringing in the money, but they were not managing how the money went out. So it was months. And I'm talking about phone calls were coming in because things were not getting paid, but like things were being managed and like appointments that were had that were supposed to be handled for X, Y, and Z. Yeah. You know, didn't know anything about it. So it was like, okay, sure. I'll get back to you as soon as I dig through this stuff and figure out what is what and where is what. And it worked for their relationship, right? So it was great. It worked out. That individual was not working, so they were able to handle all of the household things while the person who was working was working. So that worked for them, but it can be devastating when there's a loss. And then to your point, you
are stuck. You don't know what to do.
What I know that
the lights trying to carry through with everything else.
Right. Yeah. Right. You have gone, and then I'm like, the lights, I pay for them how? Or our cell phone bill, I know is due. How in the world do I manage to even figure that out?
It sounds so like simple and mundane, but it's not when like that's not your thing. In the house.
Right. Yeah. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with somebody who, like, if you know your strengths, right? Like, you know, I'm really good at managing money and I know I'm not. So then I want to lean on you for this, but at some point we're going to have this conversation. You know, doing something. And I don't know if that's also possibly to going back to Gabrielle, like maybe it is something too where being able to know about 50% of what is going on in my house means that I'm paying for it so I know what's happening, right? Versus like if I'm allowing this other person to do it, then I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, that's facts. Because you also hear the stories all the time of someone being like, I didn't know that he just like wasn't paying the mortgage. Right. Or like that's terrifying to me.
Right.
Or I remember, then there's also the flip side of someone like, or we were just watching Rich Life on Netflix where you're so controlling that your other partner feels like a child in the relationship. Or do you guys remember Kane, he was a host
Oh,
on
yeah.
99.5.
Oh, yeah.
No.
He recently, I think he passed away a couple of years ago. But before, his ex-wife was saying, or he was saying how he had an alert on his phone every single time she spent more than like $100. Like the bank, because you can set up alerts on your phone, like
Yeah.
transactions coming through. So every single time a transaction came up over $100, he would get an alert on his phone. I guess because he worked, she didn't. So he wanted to, I guess, control the finances to that
$100
point.
is a low threshold.
I was about to say, absolutely
You went
not.
to Giant to get your family
Yeah.
groceries and you got the alert.
But what's interesting, it came out later that he allegedly was being abusive. So she
Sounds
had
like
to,
it.
physically abusive.
Oh, sorry.
Jesus.
So she also had to like go to like the grocery store and buy like gift cards or like money here or there. So she was doing it to like have a stash so she could leave is what came out like later
Oh,
on. But
That's horrifying.
yeah, it's really scary, but it's just like it's how people use money as a sense of
To
control.
control you.
So I do understand her part of it being like we're equals in
Right.
this, right? So
Right.
there's
sure.
no me controlling you. You can't, or even like that one guy we heard, he was like, "What are you doing for me? Like, what are you contributing if I'm paying all the bills? Like, what are you doing? Like, you can't say that if I'm paying half. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, we are
Yeah.
equals in
Exactly.
this relationship in this house.
Yeah, it's
I
a
can tell you
mindset
what I can
change.
contribute if you pay all the bills.
Jesus.
I mean, pay it.
Not Jesus. Pay it.
Pay them.
I feel like
Swipe the card.
I completely lost my train of thought. Lord.
Sorry.
I mean, I agree though. Yeah.
All right,
I mean,
so
I
that-
get her. I get what she's saying.
I'm about to
It
say
just kinda-
to bring that in. That podcast was
Not to bring it in.
eight at the table, and this man was
Yeah.
mentioning that if he's paying all of the bills, he asked the question, "What do you bring to the table?" And
I'm
to
so
me,
exhausted by
Yeah.
this conversational question that only happens in the Black community. So exhausted.
doesn't seem like it only happens.
I
but
don't think it.
I think that's the only thing I follow.
It's,
the only
I
context
feel like it's the
have.
only like time I see it going viral on whatever.
Well, 'cause
This
white people
conversation
ain't
comes up,
talking
like,
about it,
twice
for
a
real,
year.
for real.
But go ahead. Sorry.
Either way, he asked the women on the podcast whether or not what they brought to the table if he was providing for the mortgage and providing for all of their bills, as if the only thing she could provide was money into a relationship. First of all, that was the first thing that stuck out with me. I don't know about it.
Yeah,
anybody
same.
else.
Yeah, he was trying to equate. Well, she answered it saying, "I make the house a home, and
Right.
I'm doing your laundry, and I'm cooking, and I'm buying all the
Cleaning.
furniture, and I'm picking out your clothes, and blah blah blah." And he was basically naming all the occupations for people that he could hire to do those same things, which really is a weird lens of a conversation when you're talking about a partnership and a relationship, because it reduces
Right.
your relationship to like functional roles in your household.
Yeah, it's also, like, very
it leaves
transactional.
Zero room for like compatibility, like actually being in a relationship. It's all
Love.
about like, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
It was just very strange. And it's also like, even in the lens of those conversations, like you can just find someone who also has that same belief.
Yeah.
And that's what they like
Yeah.
want to, if you want someone to go 50-50 with you on the bills, there is that for you. If you want someone where you're going to pay the mortgage and they like don't do anything but the household duties and they're a stay-at-home whatever, there is that for you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that can be the end of the conversation. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to have arguments about your preferences. You can make your preferences your reality. They just won't be with certain people.
Yeah.
Right.
Or it also, to me, is like, do you want to be in a relationship? Because I don't know what you're looking for. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you want someone to split the bills with you. I don't know if you want to take care of everything. Because it sounds like you don't want a partner.
Like you
Right.
don't regard someone like a wife very highly.
yeah,
If that's what you're
it sounds
asking.
Like you need a
Like,
sex
what
doll.
would you do
Like,
for
it sounds
me?
like you just need someone.
Yeah, because like, why is that even the lens of your conversation? It's about what you're doing for each other, what you're building, what you're growing,
Yeah, right.
and like, I don't know, the love you have for each
I know,
other.
it's odd.
But isn't that when you just start having a conversation about expectations? Like if they're having that type of conversation, why not just like, to your point, why not just have a conversation about, if I'm doing this list of things, what is it that, like, and you're doing these list of things, right?
Yeah, but that's the weird part. Like, these two people aren't even two people that are trying to date each other.
Yeah. They're talking about how they function outside of each other.
Yes.
And
Oh no.
And arguing about it.
Yeah. But I was listening to Here's the Thing podcast with Angel and Kev on Stage. And they were talking about this. I mean, everyone's talking about this
plug in a
right
lot of
now. We are. I mean, listen, if you a podcast person, like these are great podcasts to listen to. But she was saying like, my husband is not a work. She's like, my husband's not a workhorse. I think she has a similar situation that I do where like everyone's, the money that's coming in the house is everyone's money. Like this, where it's not your money, it's not my money, it's our money. Like that's how it sounded like to me. And it's just like, you can't reduce, well, if you are reducing your partner to the person that just pays the bill or the person that just gives me sex or the person that just cooks for me, like this is not a aspirational relationship to, I would say most people. I'm not gonna say all people, but most people, like most people are not looking for something like a transactional thing. Like we're kind of just living life in a way that works for the both of us. So to reduce your partner to one thing, to just provide or just to pay the bills it's an odd conversation to argue with someone that wants to have a healthy relationship. I don't know how I keep thinking about it.
I also am thinking about how you initially meet someone, because I can't understand how we got there and that part of the relationship. When you meet someone, are you meeting them to know what they bring to the table? If I brought you dinner, like that's not what you're doing.
Well, sometimes,
but if that's the case, then again, to Carol's point or whoever's point, then you don't want the individual. You just want to be able to dictate rules, regulations, or whatever else with somebody else. And that's not a relationship. That is a dictatorship, right? And so if you're, I guess then for me, it just makes me think about how people view relationships and whether or not there's any real value in the person and what you're building versus just to say you have a relationship.
Yeah.
Right?
And this is a larger conversation that I keep thinking that we should have, that is centered on sometimes men don't like women. They just feel like they are supposed to be in a relationship with them because they're heterosexual. But as jumping off from a piece of that, of what you're talking about, is there, the power that comes with how the money runs in the household and the mindset that sometimes comes with that, can come with that. And it doesn't mean that because you run your household a certain way that there is a power dynamic. But I was listening to Joe Budden's podcast with Patrick, and they were talking about this very thing about, I pay the more, like I pay all the bills in my house. And one of the podcast members, Parks, was like, I go 50-50 on my mortgage. They're like, what? And so like everyone, it was like a record scratch. Like everyone was like, what? You go 50? You let your wife pay half? Yeah. Yeah. And so like that was the interesting piece of the conversation to me, because
I wish someone would not let me.
Right.
But the next statement was, I could never let my girl do that. She would be acting up
if she paid half.
Acting up.
I was like, what does that mean? And everyone was like, yeah, ha ha. So like no one asked that question, but I was so intrigued to know like what does that mean that like you're running? And then so for some of them it meant like, no. I'm taking care of the household, and whatever your money is, like you do whatever you want to take care of whatever your needs are, but like I'll take care of like our household. But for some people, like a statement like that to me says something very different.
Well, it does. And Harry came home talking to some fools just like that. Like when I'm like, tell me one of your friends that are in a long-term healthy relationship. I'll wait. Exactly. And when you can pinpoint to me one of those, then okay, fine. Because the moment you start saying, I let your woman do anything in a house that she done made a home, regardless who's paying the bills, sir.
I just would love to know like what that means to them.
Me too.
Like if there is is there a rich 7-figure nigga out there that has that mindset? I just want to know. I mean, I guess if you're just going strictly by traditional gender roles, like I am the man, I'm supposed to make sure that bills and things are taken care of. I guess I understand that. But if you're not, that's a very specific income tax bracket type of person. Like I will speak specifically for the area that we live in, which is the greater Washington, D.C. metropolitan area.
DMV, if you will.
Yeah, I would say to live comfortably here and support 2 adults, I would say
Without kids.
without children, I would say at minimum you need to be making like mid 6 figures to live in this area comfortably to support 2 adults. Do you guys agree?
I can see it.
Like I even think like low 6 figures might be a little hard, but I would say mid 6 figures you guys can probably live a very comfortable life.
If we're talking about the Cosby type of lifestyle, sure.
Yeah, I just think it depends on where you're living.
Yeah.
It depends on like the type of home you want to live in.
Okay, that's
For
fair.
that to be true.
But I'm just thinking like just in general, medium household income you need to make
Yeah.
around
Outside
that.
of DC, for real. But
Yeah. So it's just like, and that's not, everyone is not making that, right?
No.
So we're having a conversation about a very specific type of person that I would say majority of people are not making that much money on their own,
No.
right?
Right, agree.
Yeah.
So why are we arguing? Like I would love to have that mindset with someone that's actually doing that and they're having that conversation, but I would say most people are not. So I don't know why.
But I think that to your
Because
point
the
earlier,
peanut gallery is having this conversation about a life that they're not living.
But let's talk about why. Yeah.
They would say genders are
The
tied
patriarchy.
to right, and a lot of it is.
I was waiting for it. I knew it was going to come. I knew it was going to
That
come.
needs to be
Where
a-
we are
been a
at in
while.
our
It's been a while.
It has. You're actually right. It really has. But in our society, the way it has been set up is first capitalism,
Facts.
second patriarchy, right? And those two things are tied together, right?
To make it look like a dictatorship.
Damn.
damn.
Damn. Damn.
But I'm saying all that to say that so when you are living within a society that has already set you up to value each other, not only based on your monetary accomplishments, but also your gender, then there gets to be this skewing with individuals who fall below that money line that would make you be able to be comfortable, because to the point you had about the Netflix show, when a man is making less than that and not really able to equate his value to money, he runs into a societal feeling of like, I'm butting what I value personally against what society values. And I don't know how to make up
Reconcile
the difference.
them.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to reconcile the difference between the two. And I think that is what happens with a lot of people. So when you're seeing these podcasts, when you're seeing conversations being had across genders and across classes, you have to remember that where you're at currently monetarily does not really mean anything. But and if you are trying to rely on that being that, then you're gonna have to change where you at.
Well,
As far as capital is concerned. And if you aren't able to, then you have to spend the time recognizing that there is no value in you nor anybody else, be it male or female, when you enter into a relationship about money that makes them, right? It may make your life easier, but that does not devalue them or add any value to them because they make the money. I think that even, wasn't that recently the Ayanla had asked a woman who was
Ebony.
trending on social media about, what was her name?
Ebony K. Williams.
Yeah, Ebony K. Williams, sure. Was asked if she would date a bus driver. And her response was that she wouldn't date the bus driver, but she would date
The owner of the bus.
owner of the bus, right? And therein lies, like, there's nothing wrong with being a bus driver at all. There's nothing wrong with being the owner of the buses and paying other people. I think where she got caught up a little bit was that everyone assumed she was valuing the man based on the job, and it's not that as much as what his aspirations were, right? But we live in a society that has compared money to person, and if you don't make it, then you are not a man, or you're not doing X,
Yeah.
Y, and Z. And I think a lot of men just deal with that in a way of, well, I'm just going to make a lot of money, so I don't have to worry about it. That doesn't change the fact that there are going to be days where you won't make a lot of money.
Yeah, you can also be a terrible person and
Yeah,
you're rich.
that's what I was about to say.
Right,
And I think that it's tough because I think it's also okay to have your preferences. Like if you don't
Yeah.
want to date a bus driver, like that can also be okay.
Yeah.
And
And also, where is she meeting the bus driver?
that's a great
That's
question.
a great question, too.
She probably never.
And why, I feel like, and I'm gonna get off this race thing, but do white women get asked these questions?
I mean, and that's another. I was listening. I can't remember another podcast I was listening to. They were saying like, I feel like Black women are always asked to settle.
Yes.
It's like we can never aspire to certain things. Like we need to
Humble ourselves.
and all this.
Cast.
Yeah,
And we're judged for not doing it. Damn, one day we're
Yeah.
gonna read that.
yeah. I was just about to say it. I'm gonna buy that book
It popped up
today.
in my
Read it on vacation.
It popped
Yeah.
up on my Amazon list.
I'm gonna read it on the
and
way to
I
Mexico.
giggled.
It's gonna be my Mexico read, I promise.
Anyway.
Yeah, but no, it's just like as a whole, Black women are always asked to humble ourselves and to settle for whatever. Like we can never just have. Ebony K. Williams was dragged
Yes.
for that. When at the same time, she's on Real Housewives of New York.
Oh, okay.
She's a host on the Gyro, I believe. She's a lawyer by trade. So like she's an accomplished woman.
Right.
Like I'm not even gonna try to guess her net worth, but I'm going to guess she's doing very well for herself on the Real Housewives. She's living in like an apartment in the middle of, I don't even know the borough. I'm not gonna lie. She's doing well. She's very successful. So for like, why? Who cares if she don't want to date a nigga that's only making, I don't know, $80,000, $100,000, whatever, because she's making, I don't know, $5.
That's her
Okay.
business.
Who cares?
That's
Like
her
let that
business.
woman date who she wants to date.
Exactly. And I think I do want to go back a little bit to the like class and patriarchy conversation that we were having, because I think it lends nicely to the Netflix show. But I think we never actually like talked about what we're talking about. So let's clue the listeners in.
Oh, the Netflix show, what it's called?
Oh, okay. So there's a show on Netflix called Rich Life, and it's the host he's a financial advisor, I believe, don't get me lying, but I think. And he goes around talking to couples about their finances and how to create what they believe is a rich life. So it's not this contrived notion of rich life and traveling on PJs or going to expensive restaurants or whatever. It could be you having the freedom to one parent staying home to watch their kids. It's you creating your definition of a rich life. So one of the first couples he's on there with, it's a white woman and a white man.
White
is she
presenting
Middle
at
Eastern?
best. Yeah, I would say white presenting.
Oh,
White
yeah,
presenting.
white presenting.
White presenting.
Shit, they're not black.
Spicy white woman and a spicy white man. And she is the breadwinner. He went over their bank statements and credit card statements. The month that they went over, she bought in $24,000, not $2,400, $24,000 is what she bought in for the month. But they spent $27,000. And the husband is a stay-at-home dad. He is a traveling electrical engineer by trade, but currently is not working, and a stay-at-home dad for their 2 children.
And they didn't get into what their expenses were, but I'm curious because their house is like nice, but it's not
They
like
did. I mean, they seem to have,
mansion.
and I don't know where they live either.
True.
It's somewhere in California. I think that's all they
But they were driving a Tesla. Like they, you know what I mean? Like they seem to be living a luxurious lifestyle.
Sure.
But they were saying when he was the breadwinner in the relationship, they had a joint account. When he stopped working and she became the breadwinner, they had separate accounts.
Now what that conversation was like, I am so curious.
And he also made
I don't even think it was a conversation. Let's get my
it sounded like she was like, I'm gonna open another account. Right. And my check is going here.
Yikes.
What actually happened was he woke up that morning and said, babe, there's no money in the account. And she was like,
none.
"Ain't
There's
your
no money
account."
in your account. My account is full.
It's on full.
But he made it seem like he was only valued when he was bringing in money.
Well, he said he didn't feel like he was being valued now that he was not bringing any money. He was a stay-at-home dad. He verbatim said this, and with little tears in his eyes. Like he was
not full tears.
He was in his feelings.
He
about
was.
it. Yeah.
I mean, rightfully so.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's not wrong.
She was being very dismissive in the part of the
when he
episode
brought it
that we
up,
saw.
she was like, I don't want to talk about this. Man.
Sure you don't. I like how it's set up.
Right.
Well,
But sorry, that
when you're the one in the wrong, of course you don't want to talk about
Well,
Well, okay, so let's get into that. What was your
basically, I just think it's interesting how, like, not the rules of patriarchy, but like what we allow and like how we perceive like head of household, regardless of who engenders it. So like her, like basically being financially abusive toward him because she is now the main moneymaker and head of household.
well,
Like, and how it completely flips the patriarchy in the sense that it's her doing it to him, but completely maintains it in the way that she decides to treat him. And that is an wild phenomenon to me. That like, oh, I'm the head of household now, so now it gets to be fuck you, even though that wasn't how he was treating her when it was him being the head of household. Like what that power dynamic does to relationships.
And just money.
I was about to say money for most equates a level of power. And I mean, that's an age-old tell that people will, okay, I have the money. That means I have the power.
I got the respect.
Yeah, money, power, respect. That's how people think.
Blowing money fast.
Okay.
I mean, I think it all comes with mindset, how you view. I mean, money comes and goes too. I also see.
That's a fact.
I mean, if you watch a show,
nobody don't know what is that lady. Damn, spending $27K in one.
I was about to say, yeah, she brought in, I think it was like 24, 25K, but she spent 26 and that wasn't 27 and wasn't even including the credit cards that she had incurred because of the additional expenses. So, you know, ma'am, maybe you should include him and maybe he can help you.
Because also the premise that she didn't want to include him was like, oh, I just like want to know what you're going to be spending money on because I don't want us to be in financial turmoil.
But
it also makes me wonder if he put them in a situation before that she felt uncomfortable with financially.
That's a good point.
Because
Possibly.
for someone to be
is.
that like
malicious.
well, not even, okay. I was gonna say like tight. Like she's very tight and with that and like very in control. Like for someone to, I check my account all the time to like look at what's happening, what transactions, mainly because my account's been hacked before, so I'm trying to make sure it don't happen again.
Okay.
But I don't. If it's like I'm not asking you. You went to Chick-fil-A 5 times this week. I mean, if she was like, I need to know what you're going to spend it on before you spend it.
That would be me.
And that.
Well,
Imagine being part of the problem.
Right. Okay.
How
I feel like every episode we need to check on your man to make sure.
No, I mean, like
blink
signs of
twice.
life.
No,
Right.
no. I mean, so
Girl, you the one who said it. How are you defensive?
no. When I say that would be me, is Harry calls me and like, babe, you need to stop going to Chick-fil-A,
Oh,
and I'm like,
the other way around.
okay, I'll
Yeah.
chill. I won't go tomorrow
Okay.
because I already went this morning.
But Friday. I don't know. It's very. Maybe I don't make enough money to understand.
Their problems.
Well, to understand like someone only being their paycheck.
No, but I feel like there are so many other options. And that's why it's weird to me.
What do you mean?
Because like even if like say at like the cheapest, what you're gonna do is put like $1,000 in an account for your spouse who is taking care of your 2 kids and not working. Like and then you don't have to monitor it. You don't have to like whatever.
That's their allowance.
Yeah, like there are definitely
But even
other
that,
options besides just like being
Well, he did say that you could
completely
compensate
controlling.
me for my job.
Yeah.
Essentially, because he is doing a lot and
Exactly.
he's not being.
Which is
yeah.
another option.
Yeah.
Like you can set up alerts. You can have joint accounts. Like there's a litany of different ways to
have conversations.
become
Maybe
more
you just need to start
comfortable.
invoicing her. Like
Yeah.
this is the babysitting bill that I
Sure.
done incurred.
I done dicked you down 5 times this week. That's going to be.
Not him being a prostitute
Excellent.
husband.
Not
Wow.
it's sex worker, please.
Sorry.
Put some respect on their profession. Put some respect on that
I
man.
apologize. I am so sorry.
more than it needed to.
So sorry.
I'm just saying, if I was him, the level of listen, I'm not nothing. I'm doing
The
nothing.
kids would be eating dirt.
Okay, well,
Like,
my kids would be taken
wow.
care of.
Yeah, right.
Oh.
But you, she's like, F them kids.
I'm gonna make sure they stay eating dirt.
Not
It's okay.
eating dirt.
We told you to do
Fine.
nothing.
There's a lot
Since we
of
had no
nutrients
money.
in dirt.
Yeah, the way my petty set up, me and the kids are eating great. You peanut butter crackers is what your dinner is. We are eating filet mignon.
You sound like the wife that he has.
No.
Not the thought. No.
No.
Yes. Maybe.
I'm just saying, you're not about to control every. You can't have both, sis.
Oh,
like this is a lot. This is a very.
But I think that's
a lot.
People who are really insecure about whatever. It doesn't have to necessarily be finances. It could be the relationship. It could be, you know, a bunch of other things. When you're taking the stance that she is taking like that,
To
or
the
anybody,
extreme.
to the extremes, it is there's something else going on there very much. And I think she's just utilizing whatever she sees as a tool to be able to, you know, manage whatever she wants. You know, you mentioned earlier the radio host doing it because he's abusive, right? Like people
Allegedly,
yeah.
Jesus Christ, don't come. Well, he's okay. Never mind.
I don't know this person, so
Well, he's no longer.
it's a figment of my imagination at this point. Anyway, but nonetheless, I think that that's what people do, right? They utilize whatever they can, and money is the easiest way of being able to exact some type of power because you feel some type of way within your own self. I think that that's what we're seeing with this, but it's unfortunate because it does fall along gender roles and lines in this country a lot. And a lot of times it's like, would people be as outraged about this relationship if it was a woman who, you know, like the guy on the podcast?
I don't know that anybody's outraged besides us.
Right,
But-
exactly. Well, again, right. But I'm just saying, in general, I think sympathy, I think they were chosen for the show sympathy sake because
Specifically, yeah.
it's the exact thing we see happening with the opposite genders.
And he references that a lot. He's like, other women feel like this too. And she's like, and some women just deal with it.
This is Big Mad on this show.
But my thing is like letting like money change, like alter your actual relationship is like the wild concept to me. Like that's what's really wild, because what you're communicating a lot of things in deciding to manage your household this way. And a lot of it is starting with like, I don't trust you. But then it's also like, I don't respect you, which is a completely different conversation.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But it's also like, I only respect you now because you're not bringing in any money.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is wild.
Yeah, which is crazy. Yeah.
Well,
but also, especially if it was like a communal choice that was made for their children. Like it's like especially crazy.
Yeah, because why? Yeah, we don't also.
He's not
we
just
haven't
like
seen past episode
on the couch
1
playing video games.
Yeah, so we don't know why he stopped working. Yeah.
But even if he like just, whether it's like he got fired or he decided to stop working, like the fact that he is now actively taking care of your children.
Well, that makes a difference to me.
Even if he decides to actively start taking care of your kids.
Yeah, because I didn't ask you to not actively take care of our kids and not work.
Okay, talk more about it, sis.
Like, if we as a couple decide, like, because childcare is very expensive. So for a lot of people, one parent doesn't work because they're literally only working to pay for childcare.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if we're going to do that, it doesn't make sense for a lot of people to have a stranger be with their kids all day. Then I can be with my kids if I'm only working to pay for daycare. So I get that. But if that's not the case and you just decided to not work and pay for pay and watch our kids, but we didn't decide that collectively as a couple, I have an issue.
Oh, I did. Okay. I at no point assumed that he autonomously made that decision. I assumed it was either made for him or they made it together.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you electing not to work for me is an issue without us having a conversation.
Yeah.
Because if
so you yanking the bank accounts if that happens.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like if you just decide to stop working, then that's, to me, that's a whole nother conversation.
Like you just come home and be like, I quit today.
Yeah, and we didn't. And you have no plans
to go back. Are you looking for a job? Or?
Yeah, like or if it's like my mental health is at risk, or like and it's like extenuating circumstances why you quit. That's one thing, but we have a plan to get you back into the workforce. But if you're just like, I'm not working, I'm a professional.
Taking a gap year.
Yeah,
no, I'm taking a gap year.
It's a big grown age.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, that's a different conversation for me.
You know what that made me think about? In watching her response and how she was like, well, you could go back.
Yeah.
That's probably
That's what I'm saying. It made it seem like this was not a us conversation.
Like, if this is such a problem for you,
go back.
Go back.
Okay, but thinking about his trade, right? If he is electrical engineer.
like you're always in fashion.
one, you're always in fashion. Two, there's not enough people that's doing your work, which means there's a little bit of monopoly that you hold in the
Demand.
financial
work
space. You
anywhere.
can kind of claim you can just speak your price and people will have to pay it because they need you. But
Well, I mean, we're making a lot of assumptions, but go off.
we are.
Well, all we're saying is I'm assuming he can get a job.
He could
Sis
if he
said go
wanted
back.
to. Right. So,
You
I
want
mean,
some money?
if he
It's out
wants to
there
go
waiting for
back,
you.
but I guess the question, I think that in just going off of their dynamic and how they move and talk to each other, it also seems like if he were to go back, she would have a problem with that. She seems like she's at a point where she has a problem with him and not the fact that he's just not working.
See, I don't get that. I think if he was working and also bringing in money, they would not be having
She sounded stressed.
half of these
He did sound
conversations.
stressed.
It's because if you're bringing
But
in,
also, what are you spending your money on?
that's what I'm
Like,
saying. If you're bringing in $24,000 a month and you spent $27,000, that is. She said she stays up at night thinking about her finances.
She
So if he
wasn't
was bringing in
stressed.
another income, I think they would not be arguing.
I feel like we need to continue on. Like now, I feel like that's something I have to binge watch
How does it
because
end?
Yeah.
Can I
Yeah.
I
ask?
need to understand what she's spending her money on.
You can ask, but I don't know if we can answer it. Go ahead.
No, I was going to add a layer to it. We talking about Gabby earlier. We failed to talk about how when she was in a prior relationship and she was the main breadwinner, as this lady was here, she chose a role that we see happening a lot with men who are mainly the main breadwinners, which
Yeah.
is she cheated on her ex.
Should I play the clip?
Yes, let's
Yeah,
bring
that's
it.
my
Run it.
favorite. It's
Okay.
my favorite thing I've heard all day.
It's not the clip that you like.
Oh.
It's not that part.
Okay.
Okay. It says Gabriel Union felt entitled to cheat on Chris Howard during their dysfunctional marriage. And then this is the clip. Not this part.
I was paying all the bills. I was working my ass off, and I felt that that's what comes.
That cheating is what comes?
Yeah, but my favorite part was she
The
was
right
like,
to.
we let our marriage get in the way of our dating life."
No, it's that they didn't.
Yeah,
But they didn't
let their
their
marriage
marriage-
get in the
Oh
way of
yes,
their
yes,
life.
yes, yes.
Wow.
Who said this marriage needed to stop all this other stuff I was doing?
Yeah, I feel like she need to be on that huddle with Will and Jada. Bad marriage for life.
Like you need to stop cock blocking. Like I feel like.
So what was your?
So I was
your
asking
question?
with regards to, we see this young lady has on Netflix has been putting into a position where she feels like since she is the main breadwinner, she can begin to treat her significant other any other type of way. And it feels like that's kind of the same scenario we find Gabby in. Now, I don't know. I heard that in that clip that she felt that she could, but I'm also hearing did her significant other, her ex-husband also?
Yeah, I think they were both
people-
They were
cheating.
both cheating.
Okay. So
Even though he was
that-
broke, he was still cheating.
I was about to say because broke niggas been cheating since the beginning of the time. I can't necessarily say that just because you make money that you have a green light to cheat. Like
I didn't mean
have you
that.
ever watched more?
I was just joking. I didn't know you were gonna pile on. I was just
I'm just saying, like, there's lots of people who are not the breadwinner that might not fall into the male category.
This
That
is
just
facts.
I agree.
broke that just decide
But
to
the
cheat.
ones who are broke don't expect you to
Sorry,
stay.
you said treat, and I got triggered.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Sorry,
The ones who are broke usually, though they do cheat, are begging and pleading to try to stay in a relationship and not expecting you to
Well,
stay.
maybe. But they also slinging that dick, allegedly.
Girl.
What is
That's
the
what I hear.
what is the question?
That's
what I hear.
Exactly.
Sorry, the question.
I'm so confused.
please bring it back.
I was
'cause-
asking because I was asking, do we believe that is something that once we get into this genderization and capitalism being tied into that, where people feel like they're entitled to and to not be checked on about their cheating when they are cheating or doing whatever else or belittling you once you
Absolutely
make more
not.
money. Do you think that comes with some of it comes with the territory of making some more money, more than your partner, especially when you're talking about in this society with gender roles and all of those things too?
I don't think it should.
What?
I think it does for some people.
But do you think
Everybody will be cheating because there's always going to be someone that's
person.
making
Yeah.
more than the other. So I was just saying, like, I don't know.
I'm just asking.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I'm not saying that you're defending that mind frame, but it's just like there's very few times when two people are making the same amount of money. Someone is usually typically making more than the other. And I don't know. I have an issue with one person being reduced to just being a
dollar sign.
Yeah, a dollar sign, and all that they're good for is providing. Like, just you can just
you
not.
you can be the head of household and also like raise your kids and
Yeah, or you
household
could just
chores
not. You
and-
can not be in a You could just not be in a monogamous relationship if that's what you want to do. You can just
there's that
be wealthy or be rich or make a lot of money, whatever, and be single and
You can be
sling.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah,
I
and
think people-
slang your twang wherever you want it to
Slang
be.
your twang. I think people also get they misunderstand the concept of providing because
Ooh, that's a bar.
Come on.
providing is not just financial. It's
Yeah.
emotional. It is spiritual. It
Mhm.
is all the ways that you can provide to another person.
Yeah.
It is not necessarily just what's in your pocket.
Yeah, and I think people definitely get that messed up. And I think to that point, we should go back to the original meme about people talking about making money and also doing like 50-50 in the household, because I think that that's where a lot of people have it fucked up. Like they just decide that either based on gender roles or the amount of money that they bring in the house that they don't have to do XYZ or like certain things in the house. And how do y'all feel about that?
Are these regular people? Like I just have a hard
They're
time
not
believing.
ordinary people.
Like, are these like regular, not working 9-to-5 jobs, living? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know anyone in my immediate circle who is living like this or having these conversations.
I don't know anybody that's living like this.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't like who are these folks?
Well, I think
Nicole got a real life.
No, I'm still pondering on who these folks are. There's people that make money that we don't know.
No, I guess I'm saying is like everyone that I know that is, making decent money, living very good lives with a partner, they're splitting. Both people are cooking in the home. Both people are cooking. Both people are doing the child rearing. Like, it's not even if one person is staying home, it's their lifestyle seemingly, because I don't know what happens when I'm not there. Seemingly they're splitting a lot
balanced.
of, there's a balance
Yeah.
between the life and the work. So I don't know who's living this for real besides a Carisha
And wouldn't
and
that
a
be, like, the
Diddy
most
or like Nick
interesting-
Cannon and his 20 baby mamas and all of that. Like, I don't know these people.
And wouldn't that be the most interesting thing to learn is that all these conversations and it's not even happening for anybody that we know.
Well, I think that's what it is, right? It's sensationalized, right?
Yeah.
You're seeing people
Because it's conjecture. Like
Yeah.
it's straight up just like it's make believe until you actually like fucking married in a house.
Exactly. Because the guy from the podcast that we talked about, ate at the table, was not currently in a relationship.
Yeah.
So you're doing a lot of
All
talk.
hypothetical.
Right. And I think also we also have to remember too that your feelings are very strong about a lot of things when you're not having to put in the work to be able to make something really happen.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
Or
Right.
it's not affecting anybody else.
Right.
Like it's like
Or you.
yeah.
Right. When you don't, you can say all these things and do all of these things and feel a certain type of way about whatever else somebody else is doing when it doesn't include you, right?
Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form. It is until you get into a
Kevin
relationship.
Samuels.
R.I.P.
Anyway, moving forward.
Yikes.
Oh,
Next.
anyway,
need to leave.
I was like, what is it? I don't know.
him, to your point, it's very easy to sensationalize relationships when relationships are not in any way, shape, or form the way in which they are being portrayed by a lot of the people who have the platforms and have garnered people's attention and respect in some cases. With regards to these things, I think it does a lot of disservice to people who are really trying to build up real relationships, who are trying to help people understand that it doesn't fall. There are these black and whites between gender roles, and don't get me wrong, I understand that they have their perks in some way, shape, or form, but no relationship stays within them.
Yeah.
They're very black and white, and they don't
A little bit of gray.
Right. There's very little room for the gray when relationships are all gray. I don't know anybody who lives the same relationship the same way, no matter what. And
even in the same relationship, like it will
evolves.
ebb and flow.
Yeah.
Based on life.
What y'all brought up that instantly made me think about how things have also changed because relationships are not in any way, shape, or form the same. Or we think about a lot of these gender roles were created or needed at certain times that have completely changed because women, when we get pregnant, there's not a lot we're gonna be able to do. So I can understand a man needing to
Carol.
be the.
I said unless you're Carol.
No, I don't mean it from that standpoint. I mean it from the standpoint of you're tired. Your body is being really asked to do a lot during that time frame. And there was a time where people were like, hey, somebody needs to be working to take care of this person who, yes, she could do it by herself, but is it not easier if she's if she's raising the baby that you cannot inside of her womb, then there needs to be somebody who is providing for her so she can do that. I understand that that's where they started, but that's not where we're at right now, right? Like it's just not, it's not a necessary.
And that's not 50-50. You can't go half on growing a baby.
This is exactly why I brought this up. This is exactly why I brought it up. Because I feel like a lot of men will talk about what you bring to the table, but then what do you bring to the table when somebody is pregnant?
The sperm.
Yeah.
And that was in the beginning and before we even knew anything. Right? You were doing nothing for...
You ain't growing teeth. You ain't growing organs.
Exactly.
You ain't growing a skeleton.
So I think it's just this... All of this stuff is like very sensationalized, and we have no real regards to how real relationships work, how raising a kid works, how putting, birthing a child works. None of that stuff is really contextualized.
Yeah, is your vagina being stretched? No.
Okay, like none of these things are really being considered. It's just like,
maybe
what makes
depending on the type of relationship we're in. Sorry.
My God.
Oh my God.
No shade to our Liga Bigga Tickets community.
I can't.
I hate it here.
The tears I'm shedding.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't even know what that's my point was.
Sorry.
Right, that's
It was a good point. I do have
sis.
I have a question though. Have y'all ever asked either for a significant amount of money from somebody you were dating or to pay like a bill?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
It was hard.
this is not what I was expecting.
I have not. Someone has asked me though.
To pay.
Vice versa too. Yeah.
I've never.
I was like,
I will. Okay.
Bugs Bunny meme.
Like early.
Like if we weren't dating, what would you do? That's what I asked. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so you're talking from the standpoint of dating, like soon, like not in the extensive amount of dating that I have. Well, I guess it's not dating. We're in a whole
Not
relationship.
common law.
Okay.
What you are in. I'm saying that part.
Which is good.
That's
to
what I was
clarify.
thinking.
Yeah, because
That's
let me
what I was
clarify
thinking
too.
is-
Like that was not Patrick.
Not in a
also. So like
relationship.
it was like not.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I was only asking because something came out recently. They were like, "What's the wildest thing someone's asked you like on a first date, or like in
For
like
some money?
or like like when you like you're first dating someone?" And they were saying like how a lot of people have asked for money.
A lot of people
Yeah.
wear.
On the first date.
on the internet.
My sister said that happened to her. Some dude asked her to pay her light bill. And
Where'd
they
she
had
live?
they had
First
just-
date?
Like, yeah,
Where does she live?
Atlanta.
I knew it.
Yep.
See, that's what I was asking.
Not
I
the
feel like
demographic.
these conversations come out of Atlanta the most, and I don't know why.
Did you guys see the thing I sent y'all on?
It's a wild place.
I think it was TikTok. So it's there was a guy who does helps women get into relationships. He said the 3 cities that are difficult or take the longest. So it's not that they won't ever get into a relationship, but it takes the longest. He was saying was LA, because Black women especially. Black women have the hardest time or the
Not
longest
Lori.
time.
Sorry.
LA, because most of the men there like exotic women, period. He said the second city was Houston, but he said he believed the second city was hard in Houston because most of the people from Atlanta who can't make it in Atlanta, most of the men come to Houston. And they're like a 10 in Houston when they were like a 6 in Atlanta.
Oh,
and he
I've
was
heard
saying,
there's so many attractive people in Houston. You keep seeing that.
yeah, well, apparently the men
Where you keep
there,
seeing
there's
Internet.
You get a lot of bang for your buck in Houston, from what I heard.
I heard
well,
that
I
too.
mean,
What kind of
yes,
bang
yeah,
are you talking about?
Financial
Okay,
bang.
Mocha Best.
Jesus.
How did we get here? I said all that to say, to Tiff's point, his point, the number one place he said was Atlanta, because there's like, it's like a 6-to-1 ratio of men to women, as far as straight men to women is concerned. And so they don't feel like they have to commit. They don't feel like they have to bring anything to the table, because they know that they are a hot commodity in that area, and it's a lot harder to find. So to your point, that's why all those stories come
So
out.
if you got to pay a light bill every now and then.
Jesus.
to get you a man in Atlanta.
Not to snag you a nigga, you gotta pay a light bill. It's interesting too that like there could be a whole conversation around like dating in that way, besides like men who like actually want to be married. Because I feel like people act like that doesn't exist, but it does.
What's crazy to me is that I think that, to Carol's point, where are these people at? Probably there, because at that point there are 6 women to 1 man. So no man really has to really be on top of his A game in order to get a woman. Because at this point, the dating guy was saying, like, a lot of these dudes think they're hot shit, and so they don't have to do. And so what you're probably seeing there, high people thinking that my gender role is X, Y, and Z, and if you gonna have to be barefoot and naked barefoot and pregnant at home with these babies.
Barefoot and naked first. And then
but you know what I'm saying? Like, I could see that very much being, because it's very easy for people who don't have to come to the realities of what relationships really take to shoot for the stars and get it, because women are like, it's between you and nobody. So
Not Atlanta be in the jungle.
I guess.
Right. You know what that made me think
Lord.
of? That's why the Real Housewives of Atlanta keep them in rotation, because it's like,
What, the niggas?
yeah.
Yeah. That wouldn't be surprising.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, this went further than I thought it was going to. I definitely was like, we'll just stick right here, but went a lot of places today.
It did. Well, one thing we gonna do is tangent.
Okay, topical tangent today.
Look at you.
What would you do if you were
was at
wealthy?
home.
No,
That was a pop too.
if you're wealthy.
Wealthy.
What would I do if I was wealthy?
Yeah, whatever like wealthy means to you.
Monetarily.
Spiritually.
I already said monetarily wealthy. Well, I've already told you, if I won the Mega Millions, it's pay off all my immediate family. Any debts they have. Well, my immediate family is pretty tiny. What I consider immediate. Like pay off all any debts that they have, and then just throw them a little some do whatever they want with, and then
Both? Wow.
yeah, and then I would want to do like a long vacation to some like exotic place and take all my family and friends. It's like my top 2. Well, and I would tithe, Lord.
Once he gets his 10%.
Yeah, pay his 10%. So because I don't know if paying the lottery is a sin, but I just want to make sure I cover all my bases, so I still get into heaven. But that would be my top 2 things.
That's it. Okay. Because I don't consider, I don't know. I feel like wealthy is going to be more than a one-hit quitter for me. Like, I can hit the lotto, but...
Oh, yeah. Mine was more so like if I hit the lottery, but I do like wealthy.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say, because I was like...
Yeah, if I'm wealthy, it's still coming in.
Yeah. Yeah. That's... Okay. Just as long as we're on the same page.
Yeah.
I guess for me, I'll go next since I'm talking. Wealthy for me looks like being able to have the freedom to be able to move and go where I'd like to go, whenever I like to go, and be able to have some people with me. So like family for sure, being able to help them. But also I think wealthy for me means being able to exact some type of change somewhere. So if that means like being able to do something with kids or homeless or like I'd like to, I envision it being something where not only am I taking care of myself and the immediate people around me, but exacting some type of change out there. I just feel like that to me, because wealth changes not only you, but it should affect others. And that's what I feel like it should be. So I don't know. I'm assuming like a business. I'm not even gonna say a nonprofit, a business, in which it's doing something to affect others. But I definitely know for a fact, to Carol's point, family is gonna be good, because how I envision wealthy is not, I don't know if I want to be head of household for other people, but I definitely am like, okay, you have no debt, so now you can do whatever you need to do.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I want to like set you up for success, but
Right.
I don't want to be your main. I don't want to be your main source of income.
Wealthy to me, because when I hear, I'll add a caveat to this. Whenever I hear about a lot of white wealthy individuals, I hear a lot of them like are stressed about money, even though they have money, because they're worried about the people around them trying to take their money.
White people or black people?
A lot of white people. Actually,
Interesting. I feel like I always hear about black people.
there's a podcast where, my podcast, where this woman had infiltrated like the upper 10th of
Not
wealth.
infiltrated.
Yeah, well, because apparently, this is the thing. So apparently they're really super paranoid, and you cannot just like show up one day and talk to them and they'll talk. They won't. So she had to like pretend to be somebody else, had done a bunch of
Oh,
interviews.
like
thought
they
you were
actually
saying
made the money
me
that
too.
equated
That's
to
what I
Oh,
thought
10%.
you were
sorry.
saying.
No.
Like they were
Because
like,
she was
no,
like a-
you making too much money. You too close to us,
She-
nigga.
Peasant.
Well, she technically was a peasant. But
Where's
she
the
was like a
IRS?
therapist or something. I can't remember. But either way.
Not she technically was a parent and she's I don't care. Peasant and she's a therapist. Okay.
Yes, either way. She was saying a lot
Sorry.
of them, because she's a therapist, she was saying a lot of them confided into her about certain things, and their main concern was not losing the money like in the stock market or in businesses, but family. Like them some way, shape, or form. And I was like, I don't want them to have a problem, so I would like to give y'all a little bit, and then y'all gonna have to go. Like I don't want to. I want it to bring us closer, but you ain't about to be. I don't want to have that worry, and I don't know how you not, but that's how I envision it, because that just seems like too much to have to deal with. But I'm done. That's it.
Well, if I was wealthy, I would, do the normal thing, pay off debt. I don't know. I'd probably go back to school.
Wow.
I'd probably go back
Wow.
to school
Because what?
because it would tie into me opening a business. I would probably be a therapist.
Oh, okay.
Oh, good for you.
I
Reminds me
can
of
see.
Jalen Hurts getting his master's.
Yes.
I thought it was
masters.
his girlfriend.
No, him.
No, him.
Okay.
Yeah, he just graduated.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd probably do
And
that.
his girlfriend was there. Is that what it was? Oh, I just remember there being a graduation photo and people were like, oh my God, I didn't know you had a girlfriend. And that was the commentary.
That's the first time it came out. I remember hearing about his girlfriend like when he was
Me
a
too. So
Super Bowl
that was half the
prospect.
commentary. But anyway, sorry. I was just trying to remember the scenario of the
Everyone
graduation.
trying to figure out if he was
Well,
single
I
because he's
don't-
an attractive young black man going to the Super Bowl is when I remember his girlfriend came out.
She was like, and I'm here.
Yes.
And is. But yeah, I would probably do that. Just debt, go back to school, open a business, and think about long-term wealth, not like short-term wealth.
Generational. That's what I'm talking about.
And y'all
Yeah.
are really nice. I think I would make sure my parents were straight. I think I would like buy a home on enough land that I could have like an ensuite for like one of our parents if they needed to live with us should the time come, like on the land, maybe not in the house, just a little bit of separation.
Backyard.
Golf cart it over there.
And then
property.
I would probably have another house in South Africa. That would be a goal of
That was one of
mine.
mine too. Brazil.
Be able to go on vacation and take all of my friends and family. I would grow our businesses, Regalia Swim and RGN Sport.
Shameless plug.
Come
Have
on.
enough
Plug,
for
plug, plug,
the
plug, plug.
marketing and all of that. And then, yeah, that's all I thought of. Oh, and like, ideally be able to like have kids without fearing that I couldn't pay for their daycare or college tuition.
Yep.
If you wealthy, you paying for that. The nanny, you paying
Right.
for like.
Oh, and my nieces and Taylor, I would also pay for their college
Oh,
tuitions if they
that's
wanted to
sweet.
go to college.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, that was a long list.
I
Oh,
agree.
that's interesting, because I kind of bundled it out all that into paying for debts. Because
Yeah.
I'm like,
Okay.
whatever y'all. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll take
Yeah,
that.
me set y'all up.
No, I hear that.
that
I agree.
was good.
It was.
Well, I guess it's
Did
time
you be
for
on the beach in South Africa? Sorry, I just need to know.
You
Would
said
I what?
Would your house be on the beach in South Africa?
No, I don't like the beach enough to do that.
Okay.
It would be probably within five minute driving distance, but like, yeah,
Not side
on the
scoping
beach.
out like.
What's the giving?
It was.
It wouldn't
Someone
be
already
like
told me that I
on-
should maintain my friendship with Tiffany so she can take care of me.
Someone that knew you for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm holding on to that and this dream of yours.
I was like, for no other reason, because this man said it. We should
Yeah.
remain friends.
Oh,
Yep.
Jesus. Oh, Lord.
Well, is it time for
Coley's Corner.
come and have a seat at the table?
Wow.
Yes.
That was really.
Y'all may not get that again, but I like it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So our Coley's Corner question comes from Six Brown Chicks. And the question is, I own a 3-flat building. Well, let me also start off by saying, since we're talking about us getting a bag,
Come on.
okay, I own a 3-flat building.
Okay.
My boyfriend and I lived on the top floor. Boyfriend manages the building while I work. A pregnant woman moved in my basement, basically a storage unit, and lives rent free. First of all, red flag.
Who's a random pregnant woman?
She's a friend of his friend. The pregnant woman is a friend of your man's friend. I met her, introduced myself as the property owner. That's where you started off wrong, because I'm the property owner and his woman. Okay.
Ma'am, I'm your landlord.
That's all you need to know.
She asked me when the top floor, my apartment, will be ready for her to move in. And that her man, my man, is giving her the runaround about moving to the top floor. I confronted him, and then he moved in with her in the basement.
What do you mean moved? Because you could both be out.
In the storage unit?
Well, it says they're squatting. I want them out, but I'm afraid they may burn down my building. Advice.
You got insurance, huh? Oh,
That part.
sorry.
Burn it down.
Sis, you know any niggas?
First and foremost, go get all your documents straight. Get your lawyer together.
Also depends on what state she's in, though.
Well,
Yeah,
that's why I
squatter
said
rights are
get your lawyer together. Understand what squatter rights are. Make sure insurance is paid up, because if they burn the bitch down, go buy another one.
That's right.
Whatever. It's a loss is a loss. It sucks, but
It's your house.
bye.
And all this before that baby come out, because I don't know if it's his or not.
Right. Because, I mean, if they're squatting, they burn their own shit down. That's your business. It's like rule number 1. If you get mad, don't break your own shit up. Like, why would you do that?
You smart.
Right.
Never get high off your own supply.
Right. We quoting 10 crack commandments now.
Wait, so this is his point of employment and his home?
Yeah.
And he brought, didn't y'all say earlier, bro, nigga?
One thing men gonna have is the audacity.
Jesus.
All I can say is, sis, get your paperwork straight, because if they do try you, then just be armed and equipped. That's all I
This is
can
in
tell you to
Atlanta.
do. Because first of all, I'm also getting paperwork together for your eviction, because I don't care if you in the storage, if you in the garage sleeping or whatever, you got to go.
Yep. Both of y'all.
Both of y'all got to get out. You,
And matter of fact, don't go home,
the
'cause it's your
man
home.
and that unborn
You
baby,
gotta
y'all
home.
got to go find your mama's couch to lay on, your sister's couch. You got to go, but you can't stay here.
When is the upstairs apartment gonna be ready for me?
First of all,
My house.
sis, pregnant sis that done moved into the basement, into the storage shed that he done put you in. You the dumbass for moving down there with the promise that he gonna move you into the top floor. So you think he gonna put the property owner out and move you in?
Well,
hopes and
I'm
dreams.
assuming she doesn't know
Yeah,
about
no.
said property
Property
owner
owner.
slash girlfriend.
And that's fine. But if my man lives upstairs, I am now welcome into that space if that's my man. If I'm not welcome into that space, then I sure as shit am not gonna be in the basement.
Maybe
She sounds desperate.
she sounds like she didn't know also, because maybe she didn't know where he lived and was like, oh, you work here? And didn't realize.
If he's giving her the runaround, that means, first of
I would
all,
have never moved.
that part.
It's rent free, y'all.
Ain't nothing for free.
Not a thing.
Well, I mean, if all I
Nothing for
gotta
free.
do is, pop this P for a rent free life. That don't
In the
sound-
storage?
It don't sound terrible to me.
In the storage.
All I'm saying is,
You gonna
if
live in the
sis-
basement.
If sis is desperate and she's pregnant, and someone was like, "Hey, I have a place for you to live rent free."
While I get your space ready.
Yes, and all you gotta do
Okay.
is,
So no, I'm gonna tell. Okay, when I moved to Richmond, I got an apartment. The apartment wasn't ready because it was new, and they said, "Nicole, we're gonna put you in this hotel until the apartment is ready."
it was free.
I still had to pay a portion of the rent, but it wasn't full rent because I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna pay you full rent for me to have full capability of living in my apartment.
Right.
I will pay you a portion, and that's fine.
That was nice
But
of
the
you.
moment we start passing by the date of what you said it was going to be ready, now I need other documentation. You need to give me some more discounts on my rent. Like, there needs to be conversations had.
I agree.
You giving me the runaround is not an option.
I agree. You sound smart.
Not,
What's the word?
smart.
I'm not sure this young lady is thinking like that. She's also being lied to. So we don't know what this nigga is telling this girl.
You're right.
All I'm saying is she said she's pregnant. She don't got nowhere to go. And this man said I can stay here for
It
free.
don't say that she don't have nowhere to go in here. It don't say nothing about that.
Well, she don't know that. That woman don't care. That's her building. She don't care about none of that. What, I don't care
all
what
I
you
gotta
know.
say
Damn,
is-
one of you.
You gotta go. And that's it. That's all.
I'm not arguing with you. I agree.
Anybody else got something to say?
Let me tell you know what my advice is? Make sure, young ladies especially, but anybody, if you are dating an individual, go to their house.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's
Go
a
to
fact.
their house and make sure you go like at a time that
Late in the midnight hour.
Like before they get you pregnant, though.
that part. That part. So you date somebody, y'all go out, y'all go to dinner, they want to go back to somebody's house, go to their house.
Right.
But also, you have to go multiple times a day. So
Yes.
you should
Go
go
at night.
It's like
Go during the day.
In the morning.
Several times before they touch any of you. Because I'm telling you right now, and it don't even matter if y'all want to be in a relationship. Y'all just might want to smash. But smashing might end up to what this young lady ends up with.
Hello?
With a baby daddy who ain't got nowhere to stay, ain't got a... no,
he's not the breadwinner, sis.
Right, she's not. Before you even want to lay down with somebody for a good time, you need to make sure everything is wrapped tight.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure
Is it?
to lay down.
If you end up with a baby, can you imagine?
No, I can't because
The pressure would be... the
birth control
pressure-
is a very
No.
important
Listen,
thing.
there's plenty of ways to not get pregnant.
Yeah.
Plenty. Plenty of ways.
This is true.
And that's why it shocks me every day. Okay. Sorry.
Anyway.
Should we move on?
They
I don't
had a
want to.
choice.
Sure. Do you have any opinion?
I'm shocked.
and appalled.
That's where I am. I agree with everything you said.
Well, if you want to submit a question to Coley's Corner, you can always email us at WKUtogether@gmail.com or DM us respectfully at
Always.
What Keeps Us.
Or not.
Please do. Had enough disrespect.
Oh, God.
All right. Well, now it's time for a meme of the week.
Oh.
I was gonna say, you're not gonna. Got any sound effects?
Yes.
These niggas don't know nothing about no
Sound
sound effects.
effects.
Okay, so this week's meme of the week comes from Moms Behaving Badly. And it says, therapist. And what do we say when life disappoints us? Me. Called it. Therapist. No.
Not called it.
Oh,
That one hits.
God.
Yeah.
Resonates.
Yeah, dude. I felt that. Oh, Lord.
All right, so we're moving into our
Half shade.
half a shade. Who wants to go first?
I think I'm going to affirm, I gotta put me first. I gotta put me. No. No, I'm gonna affirm for just people in general that you are not reduced to the amount of money that you make and how much money you have coming in. You are more than a dollar sign. And if you are, I do understand that the dating pool has piss in it. I do get it. It's really hard out here. But if someone's reducing you to strictly about how much money you have coming in and what you can do for them financially, then you just need to find someone else. Find someone that's like-minded, that has the same goals as you in terms of building a life and a relationship together. You are not a workhorse. And really, and sometimes I really feel like these conversations aren't real. We're having on the internet, because these are just not regular people, real live conversations that are being had, at least for the people that I'm talking to on a daily basis. So just don't let the internet try to make you believe that you are reduced to your paycheck, because you're more than that.
I'm going to piggyback on that and say that I affirm that you are deserving of respect regardless of whether you're broke or whether you're rich. Like, you are deserving of respect, and you owe other people respect, not because of the dollar sign attached to their names, but because that they are human just like you. So that is my main piece. But also, like, these conversations, I think, like, when I was dating, they used to bother me a lot, because I used to think, like, oh, wow, like, this is what people think, and, like, how I'm going to have to, like, try to acquiesce to someone if I want to be married or blah, blah, blah. And the answer is no, you don't have to do any of that, because there is a pot for your lid. So there's someone that out there that thinks like you, that is made for you, that sees the world similarly enough to you, that you can have the household that you dream of having, and the one that's right for you and in your future, in your marriage, specifically for your relationship, and not for the internet. So that's what I affirm.
Wow. Well, I would say, I mentioned this earlier, but I'm going to affirm to you all today that what you provide does not have to be financial, that you are more than an ATM. You provide to your network of people in emotional ways, in spiritual ways, financial ways, in whatever capacity that they might need something from you. So take that, love on that person the best way you know how to love on them. And it doesn't matter if you are man, female, or breadwinning is not, sometimes that title is a burden, and not necessarily something. I mean, some people aspire to that, but sometimes it can be a very heavy thing to carry. So just stay strong. If you are the breadwinner, like Carol and Tiff mentioned, you're not reduced to that. So just be the best you can be, I guess. I don't know.
The army.
Provide the best way you know how.
You got it, girl.
Just stay strong.
I want to affirm for everybody. The thing that stuck out today for me, I think the most, was the way in which we view relationships. Where we're at right now in our worldly society is that we are putting the value of money over relationship. And I'm going to affirm for our listeners that money is going to come and go, but the way in which you handle your relationships, that means interpersonal, that means your own relationship with yourself, that means the relationship you have with your kids, husband, those that you work for or work with. Those are the things that have the true value. And in the way in which you talk to yourself, the way in which you see yourself, the way in which you grow with other people are the real value here. And though the world will like to tell you it's based upon how much money you make, or the way in which you make it, or the way in which you live, that isn't the value. The value is in yourself. The value is in the relationships that you build. The value is in the relationships that you cultivate. And those relationships take work. Money takes work, but also relationships take work. They're not going to be set in this way of gender. They're not going to be set in this way with money. They are set only by the effort that you put and place into them. Are they the end all be all? No, the only one that is the relationship that you have with yourself. So if you're not talking to yourself well, if you're not recognizing your own worth outside of your own money, then all the rest of this doesn't even matter. So I'm affirm for all my listeners, regardless of whether or not you got 2 pennies rubbing together right now, or you got millions, your value is still the same. And if you don't recognize that, please know that we all feel and know that you are an amazing person with or without any money. So if you remember that, I think the rest of your life is going to be a lot easier.
Amen.
And amen.
Well,
And again.
I can't stand y'all.
Well,
All right, I'll see you in 2 weeks.
bye.
Peace.